Devaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So we are back to chapter 3 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Bhakti Jnana course.
Okay.
So we've gone through few verses. We look at the yoga ladder.
Mm.
So now we'll start with verse 17. Yeah. So this was the yoga ladder. So the bottom, animal life. Then we have the karma kanda, and then the karma yoga and the nishkam karma yoga. Afterwards, jnana yoga, and then the dhyana yoga, ashtanga yoga, and at the top level, bhakti yoga, devotional service to the supreme. So start with text 17. So today, Chitra is going to read the Sanskrit verses,
Good.
and Dhananjani will read the English one.
Brilliant. Wow. Well done.
Text 17.
Yat yasvatmarahir evashad atmatriptascha manava atmanyaiva cha santushtas tasya karyam na vidyate.
But for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty.
Text 18.
Naiva tasya kritenatho na kritineha kaschana na chasya sarvabhuteshu kaschidhartha vyapasraya.
A self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duty, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend on any other living being.
Text 19.
Tasmad asakta satatam karyam karma samachara asakto hyacharan karma param mapnoti purushaha.
Therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty, for by working without attachment, one attains the supreme.
Text 20.
Karmanaiva hi samsiddhim ashthita janakadaya lokasangraham evapi sampashyan kartum arhasi.
Kings such as Janak attained perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work.
Text 21.
Yad yad acharati shreshthas tad tad evetaro janah sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate.
Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursue.
Text 22.
Na me parthasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana nanavaptam avaptavyam varta eva cha karmani.
O son of Pritha, there is no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I a need to obtain anything. and yet I am engaged in prescribed duties.
Text 23.
यदि याहं न वर्तेयं जातु कर्मण्यतन्द्रिता मम वर्त्मानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्याः पार्थ सर्वशः.
For if I ever failed to engage in carefully performing prescribed duties, O Parth, certainly all men would follow my path.
Text 24.
उत्सिदेयुरिमे लोका न कुर्यां कर्म चेदहं संकरास्य च कर्ता स्याम् उपहन्याम् इमाः प्रजाः.
If I did not perform prescribed duties, all these worlds would be put to ruination. I would be the cause of creating unwanted population, and I would thereby destroy the peace of all living beings.
Text 25.
सक्तः कर्मण्य विद्वांसो यथा कुर्वन्ति भारत कुर्याद् विद्वांसस्तथा चिकित्सुर्लोकसङ्ग्रहम्.
As the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, the learned may similarly act, but without attachment, for the sake of leading people on the right path.
Text 26.
न बुद्धिभेदं जनयेत् अज्ञानां कर्मसङ्गिनां जोषयेत् सर्वकर्माणि विद्वान् युक्तः समाचरन्.
So as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to the pretty results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness.
Text 27.
प्रकृते क्रियमाणानि गुणैः कर्माणि सर्वशः अहङ्कारविमूढात्मा कर्ताहम् इति मन्यते.
The spirit soul, divided by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature.
Text 28.
तद्भवितु महाबाहो गुणकर्म विभागयो गुणा गुणेषु वर्तन्त इति मध्वा न सज्जते.
One who is in knowledge of the absolute truth, Almighty does not engage himself in the senses and sense gratification, knowing well the differences between work in devotion and work for pretty results.
Text 29.
प्रकृतिर्गुणसमुद्धा सजन्ते गुणकर्मसु तान् अकृत्स्नविदो मदान् कृत्स्नविन्न विचालयेत्.
Bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached, but the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to the performer's lack of knowledge.
Text 30.
मयि सर्वाणि कर्माणि सन्न्यस्याध्यात्ममाया नित्यात्मचेतसा निराशीर्निर्मनो भूत्वा युध्यस्व विगतज्वरः.
Therefore, O Arjun, surrendering all your works unto me, with full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, with no claims to proprietorship, and free from lethargy, fight.
Text 31.
ये मे मतम् इदं नित्यम् अनुतिष्ठन्ति मानवा श्रद्धावन्तो न शूयन्तो मुच्यन्ते तेऽपि कर्मभिः.
Those persons who execute their duties according to my injunctions and who follow this teaching faithfully without envy become free from the bondage of fruitive actions.
Text 32.
ये त्वेतदभ्यसूयन्तो नानुतिष्ठन्ति मे मतम् सर्वज्ञानविमूढांस्तान् विधिनष्टान् अचेतसः.
But those who, out of envy, disregard these teachings and do not follow them regularly are to be considered bereft of all knowledge, befooled, and ruined in their endeavors for perfection.
Text 33.
सदृशं चेष्टते स्वस्या प्रकृतिर्ज्ञानवानपि प्रकृतिं यान्ति भूतानि निग्रह किं करिष्यति.
Even a man of knowledge acts accordingly to his own nature, for everyone follows the nature he has acquired from the three modes. What can repression accomplish?
Text 34.
इन्द्रियस्येन्द्रियास्यार्थे रागद्वेषव्यवस्थितौ तयोर्नवशम् आगच्छेत् तौ ह्यस्य परिपन्थिनौ.
There are principles to regulate attachment and aversion pertaining to the senses and their objects. One should not come under the control of such attachment and aversion because they are stumbling blocks on the path of self-realization.
Text 35.
श्रेयान् स्वधर्मो विद्या परधर्मात् स्वनुष्ठितात् स्वधर्मे निधनं श्रेय परधर्मो भयावहः.
It is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though faultily, than another's duties perfectly. Distraction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another's duty, for to follow another's path is dangerous.
So summary of verses 17 to 35. Karma Yogi is outlined as the practical process by which one overcomes his material attachments through working as a matter of duty in the world. So what about one who has achieved perfection through Karma Yoga? Do they need to continue working? Can they retire or simply meditate on God now that they are free of all selfish motivation? Krishna explains how perfected the spiritualists continue working in the world for the sole purpose of setting the proper example for others to follow and be inspired by. So, lesson 13. Living the philosophy, practicing Bhakti Yoga, will free us from the entanglements of this world and set an example for all, especially important for preachers. In practical terms, that means as follows: chanting Hare Krishna beads, reading scriptures such as Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavad.
Hmm.
Very important for us how we should lead our life. So do our duty, but not be attached to the results and not to be attached to material things. So that we can progress in our spiritual life.
Hmm. I suppose the best way to try to become less attached to material things is to try to become more attached to spiritual things, isn't it?
Yeah.
That way, naturally, we don't have to fight fight on so many different corners. Just trying to become more and more spiritually inclined will take care of all of the material issues that we have. This is where Guru Maharaj was amazing. He would keep us on our toes, keep us engaged. And it's so important to be busy in spiritual life. In that way, material life sort of takes a backward, back seat as opposed to a front seat leading the way. So, Naniben, I know you're driving, so you may not be able to. Oh no, she's not there. That's okay. So let's carry on.
Okay. Just
Prabhu, I
remind me
can
of
read if
something.
you want. I'm free at the moment. I can read if you want.
Okay. Just reminded me of something. Guru Maharaj wanted to have a Krishna conscious school. So we tried to, I went to that school to teach, but unfortunately it didn't work. So I always think that how would it have been that I'm working in a Krishna conscious school where everyone wearing tilak, coming and reading scriptures, and at the same time reading whatever we have subject at school. So yeah, it would have been really wonderful.
True. Yeah.
So Shyam Malini, would you like to read the Sanskrit or the English one?
I don't mind. I'll do the English. You do the Sanskrit.
Okay. I do the Sanskrit and you do the English.
That's correct, Matati.
Okay, text 36. Arjuna vacha atha kena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anicham api varshneya baladiva niyojitaha.
Arjuna said, O descendant of Vrishni, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force?
Text 37. Shri Bhagavana vacha Kamaisha Krodesha Rajo Guna Samudbhava Mahashanu Mahapapma Vidyenam Miha Vairinam.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mood of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world.
Text 38. Dhumena vriyate vahir yatadharsho malena cha yatholbena vrito garbhas tatha tinidam avrittam.
As fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, or as the embryo is covered by the womb, the living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of this lust.
Text 39. Avrittam jnanametena jnanino nitya vairina कामरूपेण कौन्तेय दुष्पुरेणानलेन च.
Thus, the wise living entity, pure consciousness, becomes covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire.
Text 40. Indriyani mano buddhi asyaadhisthanamuchyate etavimohaya kyesha jnanam avritya dehinam.
The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him.
Text 41. Tasmat tvam indriyanyadau niyamya bharatarshava papamanam prajahiyenam jnana vijnana nashanam.
Therefore, O Arjuna, best of the Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin, that is lust, by regulating the senses, and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization.
Text 42. Indriyani paranyahur indriyebhya param mana manasastu para buddhir yo buddhe paratastu sa.
The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. The soul is even higher than the intelligence.
Text 43. Evam buddhe param buddha samstabhyatmanamatmana jahi shatrum mahabaho kamarupam durasadam.
Thus, knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material mind and intelligence, or mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, that is Krishna consciousness, and thus by spiritual strength, conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust.
This is the last verse of chapter 3, Karma Yoga. The summary of the verses 36 to 43. Arjuna asks Krishna, in life, even though I know the best course of action, what is it that impels me time and time again to act improperly? Krishna then explains the root cause of this phenomenon is the eternal enemy of the aspiring spiritualist, is lust. Krishna explains the sitting places of this lust. He also states that lust must be nipped in the bud by regulating the senses. The mind is higher than the senses, intelligence is higher than the mind, but higher than intelligence is the soul. So lesson 14, to regulate the senses and destroy this lust at its source. Firstly, one must follow the 4 rules and regulations. Secondly, sharpen the intelligence by chanting and hearing. Second part is to strengthen the mind through logic to follow the rules and regulations. That's for chapter 3, Karma. So here again, very important is the chanting and hearing so that we can curb this lust and regulate the senses and be absorbed in our spiritual life in Bhagavad.
the idea is really to try to control this mind, and to give ourselves a chance to do more bhakti. Because the mind is sitting place of the lust. It's hard because we allowed the mind to be unbridled. We haven't tried to control it ever in our lives, but now finally, after coming to Krishna consciousness, we understand we're not the mind and we need to control the mind. So luckily, Krishna gives us the instruments to do that, and through the Guru and Prabhupada, we can really make an effort. Whether we succeed or not, it's hard to tell. But if we make the effort, Krishna will help us. If we don't make the effort, then there's no question of any help. So, Shyamalini, any questions at all?
No problem.
Okay. Thank you. That's fine. Okay, I think, no, Naniven's there. Naniven, anything you'd like to ask?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, as you said, the mind is the main thing, but this material world is driven by what the mind tells them. The mind and the senses rather. But if we know that there's higher than mind is intelligence, if we try to sort of rationalize with the mind, with our intelligence, then the problem can be a little bit less. But most people don't know about this. This is the whole issue. Like unlike in the Muslims that they learn that Quran right from the young age. In our Islam, this is not there.
Correct.
By and large, even in India, in the schools of India, it's not there. It's only few gurus like here that we have started this ISKCON, but it's a mind is the culprit. Thousands, how many messages go through the mind every day? So controlling the mind is most important. And now the soul is, we don't realize that the soul is Satchit Ananda. And as we are part and parcel of the soul, we should be like that. And other thing to realize that is this, it's hard to accept this material world is transient, temporary, but real. And when somebody goes away or somebody passes away, then we lament like anything. But we are not thinking that this is the soul which is of which we are composed of. Our identity is the soul, not this material body. It takes a long time, but once that is what Gita is telling us, that you are not the body, you are the soul. So remember that.
Good. It's a good realizations, Naniven.
Yes.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. Wonderful.
So sorry, when I'm driving, I could not get any internet connection.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
It's hard. It's very interrupted. It just gets lost.
It does.
Is same in your car? Sometimes you
yes, it just depends on the area,
Yes, area.
The area, yeah. But yeah, usually it's okay. Usually, but it depends on the area.
Depends on the area. Yes. Yeah. And other thing is that we should feed the soul. We are always feeding the material body, our five senses, including what we eat and the taste and the hear. But we are never thinking about feeding the soul. We used to by chanting, hearing about Krishna. That is missing out.
And this is what the lesson is, like sharpen the intelligence by chanting and hearing.
Yes.
In order to curb this lust.
Yes.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah, no, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. So I think we can stop there, unless there's anybody else. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Jai. Jai. Thank you. Very good. Very good.